What's up, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Automatic Patient Podcast. I am your host today, Jordan Comstock. With me, Dr. Dan Nelson. What is up, Dan? How you doing, man?
Just another day in the life. Doing good. Thanks for asking.
Man. Things going great in the practice up there in Idaho?
We're still rolling.
Still rolling. That's good. Today, we have an awesome guest and a dear friend of mine, Minal Sampat. Minal, what is up, and welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here. This is awesome. Thanks for having me, Jordan. This is great.
Yeah, I think last time you were on the show, didn't we sing songs together?
We did. I believe you pulled out the guitar, and I believe we actually made it into like a singing party, and it was awesome.
Is this gonna break down as the show goes on and turn into like a karaoke night? Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's what happens.
Totally.
Dan. I didn't tell you that, so
yeah, I'm not
buckle up. No, Minal, I'm really excited to have you on our show today. Minal is a marketing strategist, very smart when it comes to dental marketing. I think years ago I met you at ADMC. It was both our first year, and we both, I think, were getting initiated into that group, and we're in that same group for ADMC. And I remember enjoying your energy. Based out of all the people in that group, I'm like, Minal's super cool. Her energy is awesome. And ever since then, I've been following you. You've done a lot of things in dentistry. So we're going to talk about marketing today, dental marketing. And we've got a lot of questions. We're going to put you on the hot seat and really get down to it, because there is a lot of fluff in marketing, no matter what industry you're in. I deal with a lot of marketing fluff here at BoomCloud with the tech type of marketing. So we're going to get down to it and really help our listeners understand marketing. But before we get into that, Minal, tell your story, introduce yourself, and how you got into dentistry.
Sure. Thank you for having me here again. It's round two of being on this awesome podcast. My story it's pretty interesting. I was always in marketing, and I actually graduated in 2008 with a degree in marketing, which is communication and bio. I was pre-dental, and I had to tell my East Indian father I'm not going to be a dentist and I'm going to go into business instead. Well, that was a call. That's a whole other story for another day.
Yeah, that's a whole new episode. Yeah,
that's a whole new episode. How to tell your Indian parents you're not going to be a doctor, you know?
Yeah.
And that was kind of fun. But what happened was I graduated in 2008, which was a horrible year to graduate because, well, the economy tanked. So here I am looking for a job right out of college.
I was in that same boat.
So you know exactly how it was. And here I am. I decided not to go to dental school after taking my DATs, after putting my PAL together. Said, nope, I think business is what I really love. So I called all these people that I knew, and I had shadowed this dental practice in Jersey. I went to Rutgers in Jersey, and they called me up and they're like, hey, it's a recession. No one's hiring. We got 60 people working, but come in at noon, have lunch with the docs, you know, and you never say no to networking opportunity.
No.
So there I am. I walk in. And the next thing I know, I'm being interviewed. And then the next thing I know, the doctor of the practice, there's a 25,000 patient practice, big practice, you know, comes in and he's like, no idea what you're going to do for us. We just like you. So we're just going to hire you and figure out where you belong in our practice. And that's how I got started in dentistry and in marketing, because I clearly told them, well, I really want to do marketing. Now, 2008 is 4 years after Facebook was introduced. Facebook came out in 2004. So Jordan, if you remember, you and I probably had it in college because it was only for college kids. Like it was for us. We'll be like, where are you having
I wasn't
lunch
part of that
today?
crowd. Yeah. I am not a college
totally
graduate.
Part of that crowd. I was like, hey, where are we meeting up? What's happening? Right. It was what I grew up with. So yeah, I told him, hey, I want to do this marketing thing. And he's like, all right, go for it. And, you know, it worked out pretty well. But what I quickly realized was I grew up in the U.S. Virgin Islands in St. Thomas, and I grew up with family-owned business, and marketing was a part of what we did, and that's probably why I geared way towards it than dentistry. But what I realized very quickly was marketing in healthcare is very different than marketing than e-commerce or business and retail.
Oh, yeah.
So I realized that even though I have this degree, and even though I know bio, because oh my God, I studied the Krebs cycle, it doesn't mean anything when it comes to really connecting with patients. So funny enough, I applied to hygiene school, and luckily I got in. I guess I had the degree, so I got in very quickly. And I went to 2 years of hygiene school while working marketing, and I got out of hygiene school, and I've never practiced hygiene more than once a day a week. And that's also pediatric, and I haven't practiced in the past 8 years. So nobody asked me hygiene questions. I don't know anything. But
We won't.
I am a hygienist. I am a certified licensed hygienist, but it changed the way I looked at marketing. I looked at business. I looked at healthcare, because you have to, I truly believe that you have to be a healthcare professional. And you have to, if you're practicing in the dentistry world and you're clinical, even better, because you understand the needs, the wants. Why does this matter? It's not just about, let's go ahead and do a whitening promotion, because as we know in the clinical team, 80% of the people that we do the whitening promo for are not qualified for whitening. So like, why are we even doing
crowns
this,
that can't
right?
whiten? Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much happening with that. So that's how I got into it. I opened my first company in 2013 by breaking a Guinness World Record, which was awesome. And then I opened Marketologist. So I'm the owner of Marketologist.
Right.
I opened up City on the Beach, Pediatric Dental Growth Summit, Pediatric Dental Marketing courses. I'm a best-selling author in 5 countries. So life's been great. Life's been awesome, guys.
That's awesome.
I'm not even a seller of an author anywhere. Like not even in my own house. That's awesome.
That's awesome. No, Manal, you and I started in dentistry about the same time. And similar to you, I didn't take I took a clinical route too. It was more on the dental lab side of things. And very similar to you, my passion was the business and marketing of the dental lab. And I learned, my dad allowed me to get my hands dirty in marketing, versus, cleaning the benches and the stone traps. I don't know if you're familiar with the stone traps or at the dental lab, where you grind all the stones, Dan, for the models, and all of it goes down the sink and gets stuck in the plaster trap. Sorry, I said stone trap, but it's plaster trap. It's really gross. Anyways.
It's so embarrassing you got that wrong, and it's already being.
I know, and it's a live podcast. Jeez. Joking.
So, yeah, I think it's important to point out that you actually don't own a marketing company, correct?
Correct. I am a strategist and a coach.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And I think your position and what you're doing is super valuable to practice owners. Especially because, we were just talking a minute ago about how we've done some webinars on marketing, and our whole goal on it is just to get dentists to know like the basics, the fundamentals of what marketing looks like today, so they don't get hosed by some bonehead group of marketing specialists that demand, inordinate payment and deliver nothing, you know what I mean? And that happens a lot. And so your position is fantastic, and you are in a spot that I think needs to be highlighted better, because people need to know that you're available to help them to understand. And you're like, look, I'm Switzerland with this, except that I just don't want you to get screwed over.
Yeah. My clients, the practices I work with, that's the corner I am in. So anything that happens with a marketing company, even if I'm working with them, I am very open and unbiased. And as Jordan knows this too, I take zero referral money. So I speak a lot at all these conferences in our dental world, and I will always get people reaching out to me, especially marketing companies, right? Hey, Minal, can we sponsor you? And can you talk about how our website company is the best? And really the answer is no, you can't sponsor me. And no, I won't take any referral money from you, because I have to be completely unbiased. I have to be able to tell the doctor, listen, here are the 3 companies you should talk to based on what you want. Here's what we're going to do, or this is why this sucks, or this is awesome. Because if you're not getting paid to be biased, then you're not biased. You're just openly sharing the information, right? So it's a really cool field. And I'm just, like I said, it's just been a really great journey for me to be here. So there is a difference between marketing and marketing strategy. And I can give you guys, everybody listening to this, I know sometimes that's like, what do you mean by that? So let me give you an example.
Sure.
Marketing, right? Marketing means we need to have a website. So I'm sure all of you who are listening, you have a website. Let's face it, it's end of 2024 right now, we have a website. On the website, we have an About Us page. Now, the About Us page is where you have usually a photo of the doctor, the hands are crossed, there's a little tilt to the face, and a little smile, and that's the picture. And then right next to that photo, you have the bio, and the bio probably goes something where the doctor grew up, all the schools they went to, the accolades they have, the organizations they belong to, and then you will have something like, in his free time, Dr. Dan loves to go skiing. And that's pretty much how your About Us page looks. Now, About Us is the second frequented page on your website, because clearly people want to know who they're going to see. Marketing is have a website, have an About Us page. Great. Let's go to marketing strategy. So let's talk about marketing strategy. Now, I'm a strategist. Marketing strategy is how do I maximize? What do I put on that page that's going to convert? So as you guys heard in my quick story, I am also a hygienist, but I'm a pediatric dental hygienist. So let's just say that you were to go to random pediatric dentistry's website, and I happen to work at random pediatric dentistry. And you go to the About Us page. And the About Us page, instead of having that photo of me and that bio, there's a video. And the video goes something like this. Hi, my name is Minal Sampat. I am so honored to work at random pediatric dentistry. One of my favorite things to do is to laugh. I have that really big belly, loud laugh that you could just hear from the other room. But you see, when I'm looking at photos of me as a child growing up in India, I wasn't laughing big or smiling big. And that's because I had black spots on my teeth and I was embarrassed. Today, I'm a pediatric dental hygienist because I don't want anyone to feel like they cannot smile big or laugh loud. I look forward to meeting your family. And right underneath that video are 3 bullet points. 1 bullet point of the schools I went to, a bullet point of the organizations I belong to, and then a bullet point of, anything random you want to talk about the practice. Now, clearly, what connected more? The photo with the bio or that quick, less than 30-second video that got people to connect with me? That's marketing strategy. And that's really what I want to talk about today, to give those tips,
So good. I literally was in the pediatric orthodontist office yesterday with my daughter. And if you had a bio on that website, I would only request to go see you. Just FYI. Because my daughter was kind of stressed, right? And I'm not, because I work in the dental field, right? And I'm very used to it. And she was stressed because she's like, I don't want to get braces again, and I'm like, man, you know what would be really cool if there was that belly laugh hygienist that we went to see.
And I have that big belly laugh, Jordan.
Yeah, I love it.
You hear it.
Yeah, it's good. I'm the same. So no, this is awesome.
I want to come back to this idea of short form video because it's going to be a huge talking point. But before we jump into that, as you're talking about strategy, I think, and Jordan, I think this definitely pertains to anybody that's looking at doing an in-house benefit plan or, a membership plan, whatever you want to call it. And that's that most offices, their strategy is insurance, because the goal of the strategy, the goal of marketing is to drive patients to your practice, right? So the whole goal is to increase patient base or to keep a steady flow of patients, right? So unfortunately, I think that a lot of, as I rub shoulders and, I see a lot of docs all over the place as we talk about stuff, unfortunately, so often the strategy, they throw their hands up and they just go, well, I have to get on with, 110 different insurance companies so that they'll drive patients to my office. And that's super flawed on a couple of ways, as you guys know. The most important thing is, and we don't need to rehash this here, as we've talked about in other episodes, but just the cost. If you're doing that as a marketing, if you were to take your write-offs and what you're giving up to insurance and slide that over to your marketing budget, budget
should, yeah.
half your budget would be marketing, right?
Well, and your patient acquisition costs on that model are indefinite. They don't go away.
I think, the stuff that Manal's going to get into today is massively important for docs to learn, and just as you touched on, I love that when you got into the kind of that example of the short form video that you use on your own website, that's all we do nowadays is scroll through video after video, and they're all short form vertical video, right? And it's like, why not utilize that, our NAT type attention span and put it on our website, you know what I mean? And it's a landing page. Why not, so what type, Manal, as a strategist, what are you seeing as being the successful avenues for marketing right now? What's working in today's dental world?
It's so interesting you asked that. I think that as much as things change, they remain the same, but it's how we do it. So for example, internal marketing is still your #1 source of new patients. It's going to continue to be that way because If you are not able to provide that customer service to your current patients, that value, that experience, they're not going to write you the reviews for Google. They're not going to have those be seen by potential patients, and you're not going to get new patients in the door. So internal marketing, since the beginning of time in dentistry, has been the #1 new patient source. So that is still true. Internal is really true. Now, clearly, secondary is digital marketing, and we are getting into Google and we are getting into search engines, because at the end of the day, people are going to go in and say, oral surgery, Manhattan, New York, or, whatever they're looking for, they're going to start searching. But it's about how do we maximize those, right? So if you're talking about internal marketing and you really want to maximize that, what are you doing inside the practice to have that Ritz-Carlton experience, to have that Disney experience? How are you actually connecting with your patients? What is it that you're making happen so that they're sharing about your practice? So let's just say that I'm going to give this strategy. Everybody who's listening, we're going to combine. Let's combine. I like to combine different kinds of marketing together as a strategist, because I truly believe that you could build up a plan around it. Let's say we were to combine internal and social media together. Now, remember, the goal of social media is not to simply put up a post wearing a pink tutu and assume people are going to love you. That's not the point. The point of social media.
I just did that yesterday.
In my head, I'm like, actually, people kind of are going to love. I found that I've given up hope on a lot of that content, because like the stupidest stuff converts the best. I'm just like, there's no way this can convert, and it does. And you're like, and then you see something that's like well thought out, well executed, it's got production dollars behind it, doesn't convert. You're like, okay,
doesn't convert. It's always that little chuckle, that behind the scenes, that random thing that they're like, ooh, what is happening here, right? But okay, so let's say we are combining internal and social together. Now, I'll give you 2 different strategies. Strategy number 1. Let's just say that we actually have a new patient coming into the door. Awesome. So when they come in, when they schedule a new patient on the phone, I hope that many of you are sending out a welcome email or a text that goes out to everybody. So here's another video strategy that you can easily do. So what you're going to do is, let's just say that Mrs. Smith scheduled her appointment on the phone, and Minal was on the front desk who took it. And Mrs. Smith, so, welcome to our patient family. So excited that you're coming to us. By the way, you're going to get an email from us with all the next steps. What's the best email address? You get her email address, right? You send out an email. Mrs. Smith, once again, thank you so much for calling our practice today. We are so excited to welcome you to the practice, Here are your next steps. And you just do 3 bullet points. Again, the one thing I want you guys to understand is nobody reads anymore. People don't care. We have 3 seconds. The stat is 3 seconds. We have 3 seconds for people to look at something and say, am I going to pay attention or not even care about it? So you need to have your emails can't be more than a paragraph. They cannot be more than 3 or 4 bullet points, because nobody cares anymore, right? So let's say you do that, but you do a bullet point list. Bullet point number 1, here's the link to go ahead and fill out your new patient form, so we don't have to worry about this when you come to the practice. Bullet point number 2, hey, we push all the real-time closures, like due to snow or due to weather or power outages, on our Facebook. So please make sure that you're actually connected with us on Facebook so that you can get real-time updates. Bullet point number 3, we love to have fun at the practice. The doctors love to have fun. The team loves to have fun. If you want to see us having fun and the practice culture, check out our Instagram or TikTok, whatever we're acting on, right? And the 4th one, I love this bullet point. And here is Dr. X is so excited to welcome you to our practice, Mrs. Smith. So here's a video that Dr. X made for you. Now, this video, because we're talking about short form video, has to be really simple, easy, less than 10 seconds, and it has to be non-production. It literally has to look like the doctor is on his desk, super busy, and you came into the office and said, Mrs. Smith is coming to the practice. Hey, let's welcome her, right? Or like the doctor's walking in the hallway and you stop the doc and be like, Mrs. Smith is coming to the practice. Let's welcome her, right? So this video is something like, you don't say Mrs. Smith because it's the same video that goes out to every new patient. But you create it simple. Hey, thank you so much for choosing us as your dental home. We are so excited to welcome you. I look forward to meeting you as well. And by the way, if you have any questions between now and your appointment time, please reach out to us. We are here for you. That's it. 2 sentences. And that video is the same video that you have a private YouTube link that goes out to every new patient. And now Mrs. Smith is going to be like, oh my God, Dr. X just made me a video. So I actually have to show up now because Dr. X is coming. I'm going to reduce the no-show rate, right? And if you have a marketing team in place, if you have some time at the practice, what you can easily do is take that same video and add a slide in the beginning that says, welcome, Mrs. Smith, with confetti or something, right? And now you can personalize it. But you see, you make it so that before Mrs. Smith even comes to the practice, she has an experience with the doctor. She knows the doctor cares about her, even though it's the same video that goes out to everybody. We are smart about it. We are not going to, but she's going to come and be like, oh, yes, I love that video. Thank you so much, right? But again, it cannot look like a production video. It cannot look like this was made to send to every patient. It must look like it's in the moment,
Organic,
out of the zone,
authentic.
organic. And you create that. So combining internal social communication. Now, another strategy. This is why they hired me to speak, I guess, because I just give out everything away, right? Don't even hire me, guys. Just listen to the podcast and like read my book, and you're like, you're good, you're good. Second strategy. So let's continue with the social trend. So social media. What I was saying about that is the goal of social media should be for your patients to share about you with their family and friends. Because if we share about, let's just say that you have 1,000 followers, okay? Now, some of you may have 200, some of you may have 300,000 followers, depending who you are. But let's just assume that you have 1,000 followers. And every time you post, what's going to happen? A percentage of that 1,000 followers is going to see your post. Sure. There are ways for you to get in front of organic, bigger audience, but that's what's going to happen. But what happens when Mrs. Smith, who came to your practice, shares a photo on her page and tags you? All of her friends and family are going to see that photo, which is what we want, because we want to bring in Mrs. Smith's family and friends to our practice. So you always want to climb the ladder. So let's just say you were to create, again, an internal thing that is easy, fun. You know, like when you go to restaurants and they always have those like weird backgrounds, they say good vibes, or like, you know, it's smile day. Now, we don't want to do good vibes or smile.
My mom's house has those. You go to my mom's house, awesome. Like good vibes, you know, on the
right?
wall.
And you take like,
or be thankful.
You take selfies with it, and then you do it. Well, we kind of go a little bit more fun with it, but we don't have to do like good vibes or whatever. We can get an awesome background. We can maybe get a local artist to paint a mural or something like that. Like we can make it into a really fun background, and we can convert it into an internal contest, right? That says something like, you know, snap it, share it, tag it. Everybody who comes and takes a photo and tags us on their, share your photo and just tag us, and we are going to pick a winner for $200 Amazon gift card. So now everybody coming to the practice for $200, and people are like, oh my God, $200 Amazon gift card. Do you know how long it
Christmas
takes for
time?
you to create content?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
like,
yeah, that's brilliant. I think $200 is nothing to, I mean, for the practice.
For the practice, yeah.
No.
Yeah. I love the confetti gun cannon thing video, because I've done that when you're a new user to BoomCloud. There's literally a video of me with confetti guns welcoming people to BoomCloud with confetti.
And it works, right? Because if people are like, oh my God, this is awesome.
It adds a human element to software. Right now we're talking about software, but it's the same thing in any business, right? Is you're just trying to add a human element that connects with people. Same thing here. We've got a mural that we hired a local artist. We painted a mural. So when we have guests in, we take pictures and have them tag us and post us. Exactly what you just said. And it works really well.
Jordan, this is why you and I are friends. This is why like you and I are like the same energy. You know, we are like, yes, we get this.
It's almost like I've listened to you in the past and I've just done what you've said.
Just replay the previous episode.
Yeah. No, that's really awesome. You know, I think that's really good. Internal marketing plus social, that I've never thought of it that way. I think that's really an interesting way to look at it. And the truth is, marketing is just all about connecting with people and getting them to know who you are as a practice owner or a hygienist or whoever, right? Whoever is doing the marketing. It's really just getting people to trust you via social media content. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and I think, you know, with like we were talking about it, marketing, like I said, it stayed the same. Internal still works, Google still works, right? But it's just, what are you doing internally? What are you doing on that Google, like the website example I gave you? How are you actually maximizing those so that you can get higher conversions? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you're getting all these people landing onto your website, or if you're getting all these patients coming inside your practice, we have to make it better. Now, I have some practices, you know, who actually do mailers. And I always get people asking me, they're like, mailers don't work in today's day and age. No, they do. If your audience is seniors, if you're working on high cosmetic treatment, if you're doing full mouth rehabs, if you're doing big implant cases, you know who's going to show up at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday? A senior who needs that work. And they have the money, and they have the time, and they respect you, and they're going to show up for all their appointments. And they are retired. They actually like to read when they receive something in the mail. They are not okay with just getting a text from a random business or a practice, right? So yes, depending on who your audience is, you could absolutely use all avenues of marketing. We just have to justify our audience and what you're going to put on those marketing pieces so it makes sense.
We had on direct mail, we had a practice that uses BoomCloud for their patient membership program. They scaled through direct mail to like over 2,000 active membership patients because that was their market they were going after for seniors that didn't have insurance, right? And they scaled to 2,000 active patients through direct mail. So yeah, any marketing channel, regardless of if it's new or old, still works because you have data behind it. You can optimize any type of marketing channel, if you ask me. So,
well,
anyways,
isn't it
Dan,
interesting too that now we circled back? Jordan and I love talking about the ideal patient profile, right?
Yes.
Like that's a huge thing, and so now you've circled right back to demographics, and how important demographic. Because if you don't, I always say, like, if you're trying to catch a trout, then you probably ought not to be using bass bait. You know what I mean?
Gotta use the right bait.
Pond where there's just bass.
It's the same thing.
It doesn't make any sense. So, but people do it all the time, or they just use a shotgun approach and they're like, I don't know how, let's just get everybody in here. And it's like, oh, okay. Your ideal patient is someone with money, like that can pay a bill. That's your ideal patient, which is, I don't know, you're the expert on that, but to me that lacks focus. It lacks,
Yes.
to now start to target. You don't know how to put, money behind specific things. And so you just end up wasting a lot of time and money and resources.
I mean, I absolutely agree. I have a dedicated entire chapter in my book to building that patient avatar and to maximizing and making sure that we are actually creating, ways for us to incentivize, right? Like I have some companies, like some practices, for example, they know who their ideal audience is, and they know that it's the guy who golfs at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday or 4 p.m. on a Wednesday. Well, they are going to go to that golf course and they are going to go and sponsor tea time. They are going to be there because that's where their ideal client is, their patient is, and they are going to hang out with that ideal patient and convert them over, right? And then I have some who are like, we really want to bring the Gen Xers in, who are the very busy moms and dads. So that means we have to go directly to the very busy moms and dads, make it easy for them to come to us, which membership plans are a huge help to them as a family, right? Scheduling the appointments at 11 p.m. are huge help to them. Being at the places they are at is a huge help to them. And I'll give you another strategy if you want to bring in actually any generation, but maybe the Gen Xers are the really good example with this. Again, like I mentioned, guys,
easy. One of us is a Gen Xer here. Take it easy.
I love it. I love Gen Xers. I have no.
Yeah, Gen Xers are the best, Dan.
She's gonna be like, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to the 3 p.m. buffet, the dinner buffet, the early bird, and put signs up. I can feel this coming. I'm just embracing for impact. Let me turn my hearing aid up. Hold on.
This is going to be awesome. No, Gen Xers are awesome because they have young families and they're in between the millennials and the boomers. So they're that good generation that gets both sides of things. But for example, if you're a family, you probably are going to some of the places you love to eat, right? Because as families, I'm sure you love to go there. So here's what you do as a dental practice. Look at a local restaurant, a local ice cream shop, a pizzeria, Italian restaurant, I don't care. It has to be locally owned business where your ideal audience goes. In this case, let's say we're talking about Gen Xers families. Now, let's just say that there's this awesome pizzeria that people love. You know that everybody goes there in the community. All of these families usually go there for pizza. Awesome. Locally, it has to be locally owned. It can't be a Pizza Hut or a Domino's or any of that. Locally owned. You go in, the practice owner or the office manager goes in, hey, let's just say it's owned by Mr. Pizzeria. Mr. Pizzeria, we love your pizza. It's so awesome. We eat here all the time. The team loves it too. Listen, we want to do something to give back to the community. So what we would love to do is on Friday night, anybody who picks up the pizza at your Mr. Pizzeria, we would like to give them a box of breadstick on us. Now stay with me, guys, as you're listening to this. I'm the consumer. Friday night, I go in, I pick up my pizza. With my pizza, there's a box of breadstick. And on the box, there's a really nice note glued onto the box that says something like, we hope this made you smile. We just wanted to pay it forward and say thanks to being in this community and who we are, your local dental practice, right? Whatever, and you sign that. P.S. Help us pay this forward by taking a photo, sharing it on social, tag us to get into a free whitening contest or something, whatever you want to call it. Now, the point is, even if I don't take a photo, I don't do the whitening contest, whatever, you just bought me a box of breadsticks, I'm going to look you up. And now I just landed onto your website. You see, strategy. People talk about, how do I get in front of the community? Strategy. Now, here's the 3 reasons this works. Number one, you're supporting a local business. That means if you go to the local Mr. Pizzeria and you say, hey, I want to spend $500, he's going to say, okay, because he wants to make money too, and he's a local business. If you go to Dunkin' or Pizza, they probably don't care. But the local guy cares, and this is where your audience hangs out. Number two, the element of surprise. That's the biggest thing. It's like, when you go to dinner and somebody sends you a glass of wine, or you don't have to pay for dessert, you're like, oh my God, you always remember that. Yep. Because it's the element of surprise. And then number three, and this is my favorite reason why this works, you can double and triple dip. So for example, I had a client who did this with a coffee shop, a drive-through coffee shop, right? So they called them and said, listen, we want to do this free muffin with every coffee that gets picked up. By the way, is it okay if my team member in our shirt, like logo shirt, can be outside the drive-through window, and she can give out the muffins and also the hygiene care bag? Clearly in the hygiene care bag is your information,
so
is your, right? So good. Then I had another one who did this with a smoothie place, and the smoothie guy was like, oh my God, this is so awesome, guys. Thanks so much for supporting us and supporting the community. Hey, when we do the free smoothie thing, do you want to have a table at the business? Well, of course I want to have a table at the business. And if I just bought you a free smoothie shot and you are not a jerk, you're going to come over and say thank you. And now I just got your attention and I'm talking to you. Strategy, combine things, maximize things, right? Make it so that it works for you. So to answer your long way question, Dr. Dan, so much things you can do in today's world.
Oh, this is freaking brilliant. Like, this is so good. Like, I'm so glad we're recording this, because I'm like, this is freaking awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
Just keep rolling. I'm just going to shut up and listen. Don't drown now. Don't drown.
Yeah, you're good.
We need you to talk. So if you could not choke on that water.
Yeah, we need you.
So there is literally like strategies galore. Funny enough, the talk I did in one of the talks I did in New York was like 90 strategies in 3 hours or something like that, where it was strategy. And this is why things like this work, because you have to make it easy for your team to do it, but it has to make logical sense to be in front of your audience as much as you can. Yeah. Now, even when you're doing, let's just say that, so we talked internal, we talked community, we talked a little bit of digital marketing, we talked a little bit of social media, but let's really come around and focus on, at the end of the day, what is the goal? Because a lot of the times that we talk about this is, so you do all the marketing in the world, but why should a patient choose you compared to your competition? Why should a family choose you? It doesn't matter what your specialty is. Why should they choose you? Because it's so really important for them to say, do I connect with this practice? Is this the right practice for me? Now, remember, they may have their own versions of who they want to go to, right? They may have versions of practices where they walk in and there's a coffee bar, or they get like those awesome like massage towels. You know what I'm talking about? Like our these practices.
I like the ones with cookies.
Yeah, those are the best.
Warm cookies.
I love those warm cookies, and they give you like a warm, like it's like a spa experience, But that's important to me. But to my husband, what's important? Can I go there after work? Because I'm not missing work to go to the dentist, right? Like he's like, can I come to you at 5:30 or 6 p.m., right?
Sure.
So it depends on what is it that your community wants. So I would really like you, if you're looking at your marketing, 3 things. The first thing I need you to do is look at what your actual audience needs. So in your community, where do you live? And what are they looking for? Are you trying to get a lot of business owners? So if you're trying to get business owners, you know that you have to have before or after work hours or weekend hours, right? If you're trying to get a lot of moms, great. In your practice, do you have an area where they can bring their kids who can hang out while their kid is being seen or while the mom is being seen, right? Like what services do you have that works out? If you're trying to go ahead and so first thing is, who are you trying to bring in? And how do we make it easy for them to choose us? That's the first thing you want to take a look at. The second thing you want to take a look at is to actually train your team to use that same language. And this is important because a lot of times we don't communicate in the way that makes sense. So for example, my father, amazing, 72 years old, a boomer, he's not going to read your text. He wants to call the practice. He wants to get Sarah on the phone, who's very patient and kind and has a humorous personality around her, where he will ask her the same question 3 times and he wants to get that answer. So if you're trying to work with the senior population, and by the way,
I'm a millennial and that's what I like.
Like, can I get to customer service?
I want to talk to somebody. Yeah.
I want to talk to somebody, right? So if that's the case and you're trying, that you're a heavy practice for the boomers, make sure you have a smiling Sarah. who has the patience, who can go through everything, who can go and close that treatment plan, right? Now, let's say that you are trying to get the millennials or the Gen Zs and whoever. For me, I don't want to talk to anybody. Give me a text, give me an automated DM system. Like, I don't want to talk to you if I don't have to. I just want to go and schedule my thing. I don't want to talk to you. If that's the case, do you have that communication place? Do you actually have people that can DM it? Can you actually do conversations? You could do this internally. You could actually also delegate this outside, right? Membership plans. Who are you trying to bring to the practice? Do you have an option for them to actually pay for the treatment that they need? Does it make sense for you? Are you in a place where you have a lot of entrepreneurs, small business owners? Maybe they do not have an insurance plan in place.
Yep.
Maybe they need that. So what is it that our audience actually is going to communicate you with? That's the second thing that you need. And then the third thing that you need is you can't have a revolving door of patients. Once they come to the practice.
Can I get an amen?
Because, you're doing all this work, spending all this money,
this time
working
and money,
with companies, it's time and money to get somebody to come to the practice. Then they come to the practice and then they don't return. No, we need to really have a very clear system on what is our policy. And there are so many things you could do, right? One of the things that is so simple, and this is an old thing, like this is it's not something that I made up, like a strategy I was sharing with you. This is something that I grew up seeing. And the practice that I used to work at, they used to do this really, really well. Every single new patient that the doctor saw or the hygienist saw, we walked them out to the front desk. They never walked there by themselves. So every patient that we had, the new patient, we always added in 10 or 15 minutes extra for the new patient appointment. We went through everything. We saw Mrs. Smith. She had a great appointment. Mrs. Smith, so wonderful to see you. By the way, you're going to be due in 6 months. In 6 months, we are going to do da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Here's how we are going to do about it. Let me walk you to Sarah up front right now. So how was your visit? I am literally hand-holding Mrs. Smith, not like holding her hand, but I'm walking with her directly to the front
wow,
desk.
this is new marketing here.
This is new marketing.
Hands-on, yes.
Yeah,
hands-on marketing.
Let's not get into that, guys. We can now, I actually introduce her to Sarah. Sarah, this is Mrs. Smith. She just had her first appointment here. So excited she's here. She was awesome patient, da-da-da. Please help her. And then Sarah, oh, Mrs. Smith, come on over with me, and she's going to schedule it. But that entire circle of coming in with the welcome email, then there's a lot you can do when they come to the first appointment. There's so much you can do when they come to the first appointment before they see the doctor or the hygienist. But even that entire walkthrough, and they're walking out now, they're going to be wowed. The simple fact that you cared, you took the time out, right? Time matters. The smiling face caring matters. So things that you can do inside your practice that are so easy, that can change everything. I
love this because I was just at a pediatric orthodontist yesterday. And talking to the doctor, I love talking to practice owners and all that stuff. So I vibed with the doctor really well. It was great. We talked about dental lab stuff because my background, dental lab. And at the end of the appointment, there was this awkwardness, right? Not from the doctor, but from the, I think the assistant. I'm like, I literally asked, do we need to go check out up front? Like, what's your guys' process, right? She's like, oh no, you just walk out.
Oh,
right. And yeah, I'm sure. But after hearing this story, I'm like, oh man, they could have. Now they scheduled with me at the end of the appointment in the chair, right, with my daughter there. But it was a weird, awkward walk out from the practice that I think that little process that you just highlighted there would have probably helped me build a better relationship with that practice just on the way out, right? Which is really interesting because I remember physically feeling a little awkward walking out of the practice yesterday. This is fresh for me, right? So when you said that, I'm like, man, yeah, that would have been a lot more from a patient experience standpoint. I would have felt a lot more confident walking out. Like, what do I do? Like, do I need to go check it? What do I do? Right?
No, I tell our team, if you don't escort the patient to the front desk, you might as well just escort them out to their car.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that's where they're going to go. They're going to go right past. They won't pay their bill.
That's what I did.
Schedule. They're not going to none of that will take place because they'll go right past the front desk and right outside. Like and everybody assumes that the patient's been taken care of and
Yeah,
doesn't get taken care of.
I was a confused patient yesterday in this practice, right? I'm like, do I go check out? What do I do? Right? Like, I want to make sure I'm a good patient, right? Because genuinely, I think patients think that way. And yeah, I just walked out of my car, Dan.
Well, well, I think Minal is man. This is incredibly valuable stuff. Thank you so much for being so forthright and forthcoming with all this good information. And you touched on something that we call the three uniques, and we think that everybody, as they're figuring out their identity of their practice, that they need to create these three uniques. And you just touched on, okay, well, it's hard to identify what your three uniques are if you don't even know like what who are the people in your area, what do you,
Sure.
and then who are you going to target? And then are you going to build a practice that has a combination of three things, at least three things that makes you stand out and makes you different? But as we work with clients, we find that they struggle sometimes to figure out what those three uniques are. And it's because they don't even know like what they want for their avatar. They don't know, like there's a lot of work buildup and information that they need to garnish up to that point to be able to get that identity. And so what you're talking about is, oh my gosh, it's so good, just so good. So just thank you so much for being so awesome. Yeah,
Dan, to your point, this is my customer avatar for BoomCloud.
Yeah.
It's sitting on my desk. I look at it every day, and it's based off of criteria. And my sales team knows it. My marketing team knows it. If they don't know it, I smack them. I'm teasing. But that is no, figuratively, yeah. Through bonuses and commissions. I'm teasing.
Real talk.
No, yeah, real talk. I think that's really important for team members to understand, back to what you said, and obviously the three uniques and understanding, but most importantly, understanding who the ideal patients are that you're trying to attract, and have your team understand how to talk to them and everything that you just discussed here. I think that was awesome.
Well,
I also
go ahead, Minal. Oh, I was just going to say,
gonna...
people make the mistake of thinking that marketing, they don't correlate identity with marketing, not only their own identity,
Sure.
but patient identity as well. And it's all based on identity, and so to miss that mark is massive. So Minal, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was also going to say that sometimes they get confused, right? Like, what is an avatar? What does that mean? What do I even do that? And I understand that because things were not taught to us when we were doing our clinical, competencies. Nobody told us who the patient avatar is. But to break
I've
it
seen
down,
the movie is great.
Yeah, but what is this about?
What do you mean?
I would say that you can break down your patient avatars into three different categories. The first category of the patient avatar is a completely new patient, right? So this is the new patient, how old they are, where they live, how much money are they making, where do they hang out. You could create your patient avatar. And I highly recommend that you name your patient avatar. So whoever your new patient avatar is, you name them so that John becomes real. John is an existing real person. And now this is what you're going to get to do so that John chooses your dental home. The second way you're going to do is easy. You look at your top 30, 40 patients, and you look at their characteristics and you build a patient avatar based on your current patients already. So these are the people that you love. There's reasons why they come to you. What do they like? Where do they hang out? When are they coming in? What kind of appointments are they asking for? What time are they asking for, right? What kind of treatments are they asking for? You create an avatar based on your current patients who are your type A, typical amazing patients. The third patient avatar you build is actually a treatment avatar. So you sit down and you look at every treatment, okay? And you say, okay, we are providing whitening. Who is whitening right for? Who actually needs whitening? I'm going to do dental implants. Who is dental implants right for? Who needs it? Why would they choose us? What makes it easy for them to choose us for dental implants? Full mouth rehab, right? I have a lot of the practices I work with are doing med spa, so they're doing Botox and they're doing all of that. Who
There's
needs
a lot of
Botox?
Botox membership plans.
I love them. They are amazing.
Great.
And the practices who are not doing this as of now, get certified. Start doing med spa stuff, guys. They don't have money. Patients don't have money to pay for a crown, but they have $2,000 to pay for Botox.
To fix that line. I got that
It's
line
very
right
true.
here, Minal.
But it works. Yeah, it works. So if you create your avatars based on that, you are going to get clarity. on how your marketing should look like and how
So
you're
good.
going to use the language in that marketing to help somebody choose you. So if you don't do that, it's not going to be easy for them to choose you. So it takes a little bit of homework. I say, take a 3 or 4 hours.
It is so good to do though, this type of homework. It's so critical.
Yeah, and I think that you bring up, these points of discussion. And if someone's hired a marketing company and they're not digging into this stuff and asking these questions, get rid of them.
Point.
Like, get rid of them right now. Because if they don't help you identify your ideal, patient profile or avatar, whatever you want to call it,
based on data,
based on actual data, not just like some pie in the sky. Oh, I would like to have fill in the blank. But and then so if they don't dig for data, make data-based decisions, and ask you all of these questions up front, and like, where do we go to get this information? They should have demographic reports. They should have all this other stuff in-house. If they don't have any of that, go to the next. Go find somebody that's vetted.
I agree.
This is a pain point for almost all of our clients, and it's sad and frustrating.
Fascinating.
To how many marketing companies they go through and how many 6-digit dollar amounts they go
just
through
wasted.
Yes, it's just painful.
I mean, I've been there too, and partly my advice would be own it, right? As the practice owner, yes, get that a partner that can help you, but own it, own the process, understand the process. I think for most practices, understanding this is more critical than you think. And from my experience running a dental tech company, it's been critical for me to understand personally, right? So that I can talk about our own ideal type of practice. Because here's the pain that I've felt as a business owner. It's the same pain that you just said, Dan, from other practice owners. Is I spent a lot of money on marketing and it hasn't paid. Why? Because, well, we didn't understand the ideal patient or practice profile, or in my case, ideal customer profile. And when we don't understand that, years ago, I acquired a lot of patients or practices that aren't the best. And you know what? You know what the ideal patients or the non-ideal patients, the non-ideal customers do? Well, they leave bad reviews, and they don't come to the practice. They don't
It's
use
like a nasty divorce.
my
software.
It's a nasty
divorce.
It's bad. Yeah, it's bad. And
Totally.
the right marketing and understanding that avatars is so critical. I can't talk enough about that, at least with my learnings. All right, last question for you, Minal, and then we'll end the show. It's an AI question. AI is coming in, especially in the marketing scene, a lot. I use AI every day from marketing because I do a lot of marketing here with my team at BoomCloud, and in the face of a lot of our marketing, we use AI every day. How can a practice use AI to do a marketing process?
Everything.
I know, it's so awesome.
Single thing. I mean,
Yes.
I just spoke at, I spoke at Greater New York, but right before that, I was speaking at SmileCon, and I did 5 sessions at SmileCon. And one of the sessions at SmileCon was specifically AI. Now, AI is, again, it's not about AI. It's how are you using AI?
Yes.
How are you training the AI to give you the answers and responses that you need? In fact, I just gave out a 10-page document. So anybody who's listening to this, send an email to info@minalsampat.com. And my team will send you that 10-page, it's a prompt guide. It literally tells you what is a good prompt, what is a bad prompt in dental marketing. And how are you going to use it for your own practice? And how are you going to maximize everything from your newsletters to brochures to social media to campaigns to Invisalign to communication to video scripts, anything that you want. It will do it for you, but the question is, how are you asking it to do it?
Yes.
And how are you making it so that it understands what you actually ask? Because a lot of times people will just go and be like, tell me about dental implants. And it's like, no, that's not what we need. We needed to say, hey, I need you to act like a digital marketer. I'm creating this ad. This is what I'm doing. This is how it is. This is my ideal audience. This is the language that I need. You need to make it so that it understands it. But yeah, it's AI is here to stay. It's scary, but it's here to stay. It's like the iPhone. When iPhone came out, people were like, oh my God, I can check my email on my phone. And now it's like, I can run my whole company. All of my 5 businesses are run from this tiny little guy right here, right? So
yes, I
read it.
Here's I love AI, and I think it's really interesting. I don't think you should be scared of it. It is a tool to help you advance, right? And do more than what you think you can. Here's a use case that I did this last month. Me and my marketing team, which is me and an AI bot, and I have some link builders and SEO people as well, but that are freelancers. But it was me and an AI bot, and I'm being really clear here. I looked at the like keywords that practices are searching for, and a lot of marketing keywords, right? And I've designed my own prompt, just like what you mentioned with your prompt list, right? I designed my own prompt and I fed a methodology, a marketing methodology to my chat bot. And then I fed it a lot of my content and say, sound like Jordan Comstock, right? When you're right. Because I wanted to preserve my tone and how I speak and all that fun stuff. So I now open up my laptop every morning and I look at, keywords that practices may be searching online on dental marketing, on membership plans, and whatever it may be. And I will paste this prompt in, paste the keyword in, and I design an article, right? And I'll create a blog, right? And we're getting thousands of practices coming to our website every month because of this content that we're creating. And then I'm going in and I'm inserting like these podcasts, Stan, that we're doing. And then Minal, you've got your books. I've done like articles on books and things like that and link to them. But that's how I use AI. I also use AI to create a whole band. And I've got music out there that's all done with AI. So there's a lot of use cases for it. I think we can spend a whole entire podcast just on the AI case study of how to use it with marketing. So
you should see how buff I am when I tell AI.
when you use AI,
yeah, it's crazy. I'm ripped. Like
this was wild, man. Yeah, I believe it.
I have a love-hate relationship with AI. My business partner Ryan, he utilizes it all the time, and I'm admittedly I push back on when I write my own content, but the reality is that and I do the same thing as you, Jordan, because I want it to sound like me with grammatical errors and everything. And, with my crappy Utah slur in there, that no one can understand when I'm talking. And, but I want that tone to remain. And so in that sense, I'm like, oh, I kind of begrudge it. But what I've come to realize is that in today's world, man, if you're not using it, you are way behind, because you can literally be 100 times more productive with AI than you can by yourself or with your team, because of what it does and what it can put out, what kind of content, how it can feed your practice, how it can help the practice, help the business, and what it can generate is unreal. Like, Manal, what are you seeing as far as what if you had to give, like, what's the top way to integrate AI into a marketing strategy? What would you say that is right now?
Well, I mean, like I said, it can do anything and everything. So there is not anything that the AI cannot do. What I would like people to understand is to create strategically based folders. So for example, what I would love for you to do is to, like you said, okay, so you take your current content that you have. So perhaps you already have brochures on all your treatments. I want you to take that content, I want you to put it in there, and I want you to go ahead and have the doctor talk about that treatment after that. And now combine the both and mix the both, because that becomes your actual thing for patient education videos. That becomes your actual thing for your content that you're going to put on your blog, or perhaps you're going to send out an email to your practice. But it's a combination of what you have already done and then adding your tone, your voice to it, and using technology to combine both of it, to put it that way. And I would create different folders for each thing. So I would create a different folder, our treatment messaging. I'll create an actually folder for all our emails going out. I'll create a folder for like our monthly campaigns going out, our social media captions, our this, our that. But use the tone. It's really, really important that AI doesn't sound like AI.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a human, and it sounds like you. So whoever is that front-facing person, whether it's multiple docs, maybe it's one doc, maybe it's team members, whoever that is. So something that I do with a lot of my practices that I work with is I actually have the team come and talk. So I will have all the hygienists come in and say, okay, hygienists, talk about all the topics you're talking about. Okay, talk about fluoride, talk about this, talk about that. And they will talk about it. And with their language, and I will have them type it out as they do it. And then I'll say, okay, hygienist Samantha, this is Samantha's folder. This is the hygienist Samantha. Here's how Samantha talks, right? So you are organized, you are strategic. You are not just using AI to be like, oh yeah, it does marketing, let me just ask it to do that. No, how would Samantha talk about X, Y, and Z to her patients? Awesome, now let's create Samantha's X, Y, and Z, make it into a whatever we want, like a like a guide or a pamphlet or whatever educational material or an email or a text, let's make sure that all of Samantha's patients gets this email post Samantha's appointment about this. Or this doc does full mouth rehab. Okay, how does he talk about it? How does he explain it? So it's adding that human factor to AI that's going to really help you maximize AI.
Yeah, so good.
So good.
Awesome, Minal. This has been an awesome episode today. For
Can
those,
we just do a episode with Manal like once a month? Is that
sure,
something
absolutely.
And just
Yeah,
she's like, no,
You guys are too kind. You guys are too kind.
Contact me.
I don't think it would hurt.
Goods, like
so good. Minal, thank you so much. For those people that may want to learn more about what you do, where can they find you?
Yeah, go to minalsampat.com. That's my website. I'm easily accessible on social media. Like seriously, go to Instagram, Facebook, and all of the stuff that I'm sharing with you, I share it openly. Like I actually go ahead and share if you go to my Instagram at Minal Sampat LLC, you will see that I share, hey, here are real ideas. Here's marketing ideas. I openly give out information because to be honest, I make money by working with clients, but I make money if you're join my marketologist program and you actually get the training and you get all of this, or if you come to CE on the Beach, which is my destination CE event, it's happening in a different island every year. Next year, it's in the Cayman Islands in June. So come get CE in Cayman Islands, get a write-off, stay at a resort, 60% less. It's fun stuff. So I like to do a lot of fun stuff, but minalsampat.com is the best way. And again, if you want the AI prompt guide that we do have, just send an email to info@minalsampat.com, mention that you heard me on this podcast, and to send the AI guide, and my team will just email it to you. It's a free resource.
Awesome.
And Minal, if someone wanted to buy your books, where would you recommend that they go to buy them?
They're on Amazon. So if you go to Amazon and just search for Minal Sampat, this is my book, and you could purchase it directly on Amazon.
Awesome. With that said, we hope you guys have a rockin' day.
Cheers.